Hi all, I've been clawing my way through some beta Mythic Plus keys for the War Within on my Feral Druid. A lot of people from what I've seen and talked to in the beta haven't really enjoyed it so far, so I wanted to see for myself, especially since I play Feral almost every season and I really enjoy it even when it's not performing well. I want to give you guys my honest thoughts on the hero talents, how it feels to play, and if it's worth your time going into the War Within. If you guys have any questions or want to share your thoughts, leave them down below. Let's start with hero talents. Druid of the Claw and Wildstalker are both decent, with Wildstalker being my personal favorite at the moment. Wildstalker playstyle is more bleed focused with an extra bleed from vines and an added layer of depth to our rotation that I really liked, which I'll talk about in a sec. Thriving growth is a huge part of this tree. Rip and rake damage have a chance to grow Bloodseeker vines on the target that deals bleed damage and can overlap on targets. This plays into bursting growth, which makes it so when the vines expire or we use Ferocious Bite, they explode, dealing a pretty significant chunk of damage to our target and nearby enemies. I really like this, and it felt like I had a little more control on when I wanted those vines to explode at the best time. We also get Vigorous Creepers, which gives us a 5% damage increase to enemies affected by Bloodseeker vines, which is simple but an awesome node at the end of our tree. Another fantastic damage node choice is Resilient Flourishing to help spread our vines to additional targets if they die, or Root Network, which is another 2% damage increase to targets affected by our Bloodseeker vines. We get a couple of other simple damage increase nodes to our Rip, Ferocious Bite, Rake, or Shred, which is also nice. This tree also has a few nice survivability nodes like Lethal Preservation. When we remove Corruption or soothe an enemy, we get a combo point and heal for 4% of our max HP. We also have a choice node of Harmonious Constitution to increase our regrowth heal on ourselves by 25% that feels pretty impactful, or just healing we receive by 4% from all sources. Overall, I loved Wildstalker. It fits bleed focused Feral so well, which is my favorite version of Feral to play. Druid of the Claw is the simpler of the two. Plays more into heavy hitting bites and some bear form utility, but visuals for the new main ability Ravage are sick. Our auto attacks have a chance to turn our next Ferocious Bite into Ravage, which slashes our target and in front of us in a wide arc, which can do more damage depending on how many combo points we use it with. I really like the look of this ability. I think it just doesn't hit as hard as I would like, so hopefully some tuning will come to help it feel slightly more impactful to press. We get Dreadful Wound, which is awesome, adding a bleed to victims of Ravage that does some bleed damage but also reduces the damage we take from them by 4%. Claw Rampage makes it so during Berserk windows, Shred, Brutal Slash, and Thrash have a 25% chance to turn Ferocious Bite into Ravage. I really like Killing Strikes, which will increase our agility by 5% after using Ravage and turns our first bite into Ravage once using Tiger's Fury after getting into combat. That's super nice. We had a few other nodes added to Energy Regeneration, increase to our energy, and passive damage increases. Pax Endurance is nice for a little bit more group mobility with Stampeding Roar. An awesome survivability option is Empowered Shapeshifting that allows us to use Frenzy Regeneration in cat form for 40 energy. Nice little oh shit button. Our tier set is pretty cool. 2 set makes Tiger's Fury increase our critical strike chance for 10 seconds, starting at 6% increase and going up by 1% every 2 seconds. 4 set makes critical strikes with our combo point generating abilities increase the damage of our next Ferocious Bite, Rampant Ferocity, or Primal Wrath that stacks up to 3 times. Works well with both Wildstalker and Druid of the Claw. I like that it impacts our regular rotation and damage profile without adding a lot to think about. For utility, we have a shit ton per usual. They haven't taken any of it away from us, which is great. I love the group utility we have specifically for Mythic Plus. We still have Typhoon, Stampeding Roar, Soothe, Hibernate, Incapacitating Roar, Mighty Bash, Battle Res, and Remove Corruption, which is going to be so good for a couple of these Mythic Plus dungeons. Our survivability is in a pretty damn good spot too, between Bark Skin, Survival Instincts, Renewal, and some pretty impactful hero talent choices to increase it, like Harmonious Constitution, the Wildstalker tree to increase the self-healing of regrowth, which is so nice, or Empowered Shapeshifting in the Druid of the Claw tree, allowing you to use Frenzy Regeneration in cat form. Really love that. We're in a solid spot for both utility and defensives compared to a lot of other classes going into the War Within. Overall, Feral feels pretty damn good, but very similar to how it did in Dragonflight. Druid of the Claw doesn't really change your gameplay too much. Ravage feels pretty sweet to press, but honestly think it could be tuned up a bit to feel more impactful damage-wise. Love the giant slashes through the air though. The rest of the tree is just to increase our damage and survivability, and don't really see a need to go into bear form ever. unless maybe I'm doing some solo content in delves perhaps, or even higher end keys that I have to live in. Not really what I was hoping for in the tree, to be honest, and feels a little boring to me personally. The extra dot layer of Wildstalker is nice, works great with our bleed toolkit, and is a decent damage increase. Really like bursting growth to cause targets to explode with thorns, and the added depth to our rotation, which is pretty damn fun. I think it definitely fits Pharaoh better, and I really enjoy the bleed focused gameplay, so it's most likely what I'll be running going into the War Within. I'm not sure I'll main Pharaoh, to be honest, but definitely have it as an alt. I think if you've enjoyed Pharaoh in Dragonflight or just in general, you'll most likely enjoy it in the War Within. Gameplay still feels fluid, has a really high skill ceiling, and who doesn't want to be a cat? Hopefully with some tuning to our damage, we can compete with some of these other specs at the moment and be pretty viable in the first season for the next expansion. If you're new and looking to get into Pharaoh, it can be somewhat difficult to pick up, but it's well worth it. One of my all-time favorite specs in WoW. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll have a lot more videos covering different specs and classes and more for the War Within, so hit that sub button and keep an eye out for those. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.